What's going on, guys? Addie and Lila wanted to make sure that I let you know that they are very grateful for all the positive feedback in the comments from their chocolate fiasco. It was a long night, to say the least, and I had quite the time getting Lila to sleep. So, like that video if you can, because I paid for it. So, but anyway, today we are going to be checking out 10 lies that Americans may believe about Great Britain. So let's get right into it.
I told you those savages couldn't be trusted.
Alright guys, let's do it.
It's time to brush up on your British general knowledge. I'm Ashley with WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 lies you believe about Britain. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're setting straight those misconceptions you've always believed about this country. Number 10. All swans are property of the Queen. We've all been brought up to believe that all swans belong to the Queen.
I never heard that. Wait, no, actually, one of the first videos I did on the UK said something about all the wildlife belonged to the Queen or something of that nature, but I haven't heard of specifically swans that I remember anyway.
And therefore harming them or eating them is a big no-no. However, one 5-year-old swan enthusiast wrote to the Queen asking if she could have one, and the response she got surprised us all. A representative wrote back debunking the common misconception that seems to date back to the 12th century. The monarch actually only owns all unmarked mute swans in open water around certain areas of the River Thames and Windsor. Every year, local children are invited to witness the swan-upping event, which helps keep track of the birds. Number 9. London is buried under fog. Fog everywhere. So begins Charles Dickens' Bleak House, and yet somehow the reputation has stuck even to this day. Due to the Industrial Revolution during the 19th century, Londoners did see an average of 63 foggy days per year, and in 1952, the Great Smog was said to have killed around 12,000 people.
Smoke from the capital's chimneys is being trapped at street level, which is aggravating the fog.
Nowadays, you'll
Never heard of that one either, but I gotta watch that movie, The Queen. Someone had suggested I watch that movie on the Patreon, and I gotta do that.
actually find that London, or anywhere else in the UK really, doesn't even cut the top 10 foggiest countries around the world, with Grand Banks, Newfoundland, Canada taking the top spot.
Guys, this is gonna sound stupid, but is that bridge is just so beautiful, man. Is that the London Bridge, like in the song London Bridge is Falling Down? And what's the deal with that song? Is there like a backstory to that song? I'm assuming that's the London Bridge. I'm sure if it's not, you guys will let me know in the comments. So
Once coal fires were banned, London saw less fog, and today it's not as common as you would think. Number 8. Lady Godiva rode naked on horseback. Lady Godiva wasn't just
God, I feel stupid, man. I don't even know who Lady Godiva is. God, I am dumber than the average American, apparently.
just a made-up figure from a Tennyson poem or a delicious brand of chocolate. In Tennyson's versions of events, poem or a Lady Godiva wasn't just a made-up figure from a Tennyson poem or a delicious brand of chocolate. In Tennyson's versions of events, Lady Godiva rode naked on horseback through the streets of Coventry in response to her husband Leofric's oppressive tax. In reality, there are some sources that suggest that her lord husband requested she do just that, but there is insufficient proof that she followed through, with most historians insisting that it never happened. This story only started making the rounds around 100 years after her death, and by a monk whose storytelling didn't always adhere to the truth. Number 7. Great Britain, the UK, and England are synonyms.
I know that one. You guys have let me know that quite a few times in the beginning of my United Kingdom journey.
For England, James? No. For me.
Getting this wrong is a surefire way to make enemies across the UK. Just try asking a Scot what part of England they're from. Go ahead, we dare ya. Great Britain is an island made up of England, Scotland and Wales. Great Britain and Northern Ireland together make up the United Kingdom. Emphasis on the Northern, yes, that's another border you don't want to mix up. We'd also tell you about the Channel Islands, British Isles, Isle of Man, and so on, but we suggest you get your head around the basics first, and then we can talk. Number 6, you're never far from a rat in London.
What?
Another stereotype of England's capital is that you're never more than 6 feet away from a rat at any given time. Now, London is approximately 1,572 kilometers squared, and there are around 10.5 million rats in the UK. You do the maths.
Dude, those rats, like, they didn't care about the people at all. They were just grubbing.
And there are around 10.5 million rats in the UK. You do the maths. It's possible that a former Minister of Agriculture invented this little rumour to promote hygiene in homes, which makes you wonder just how bad things must have been. According to Dr. Dave Cowan, the truth is that you're more likely to be around 50 meters away from a rat at any time. Sounds a lot less disgusting now, right? Number 5, Richard III was a bad guy. Chances are, if you grew up in the UK, you were taught about the villainous Richard III, who walked around with a limp and had a hunchback. History tells us that he was this terrible geezer who stole the throne from his brother, locked his nephews in a tower, and ultimately had them killed. But in reality, when his reign came to an end, the Tudor dynasty took the throne. And let's just say that historians decided to record things a little differently. Shakespeare may have played his part in this retelling of events too. There's taking creative license, and then there's completely rewriting history.
A horse! My kingdom for a horse!
Number 4, Big Ben is a clock.
Now, a lot of you guys have told me in the comments, that the Ben clock, Big Ben is, in fact, the bell inside of the tower, and the it's called the Queen Elizabeth Tower, I believe, but Big Ben is the clock. But actually, I learned that Big Ben is the bell, not the clock. Big Ben is the bell from an episode of Peppa Pig while watching it with my son Ronnie. So I've known that for a while, actually, before I started reacting to UK content. But yeah, anyway, I do know that Big Ben is the bell, the crack bell, I believe. All right, keep going.
One of the most iconic features of the London skyline has been dubbed Big Ben by tourists and locals alike, but it wasn't always called that. In the Victorian era, it was called St. Stephen's Tower, and until recently, it was just named the Clock Tower, and you really can't go wrong with that. However, today its official name is the Elizabeth Tower, in celebration of the Queen's Diamond Jubilee in 2012. But as interesting as this is, it's all superfluous for the discussion at hand. That's because Big Ben is the nickname of the bell, not the tower that houses it. Number 3, the Great Fire of London ended the plague. When you learned about the Black Plague at school,
I do believe I've heard that one.
It was almost always immediately followed by a lesson about the Great Fire of London, because it was said that this fire, that devastated London, actually brought an end to the plague, right? Well, no, not really. The fire only burned up about a quarter of urban London, with the worst areas affected by plague, Whitechapel, Clerkenwell, and Southwark getting through it with barely a singe. By the time the fire started, deaths from plague were already on the decline, but once the fire was over, it was still not extinct. Number 2, the royal family always lives in Buckingham Palace. Crowds swarm Buckingham Palace every year in the hope of seeing the changing of the guards, or better yet, a member of the royal family leaving the palace to run some royal errands. The only problem is, none of the royal family live full-time in Buckingham Palace. It's more like the Queen's office and a nice venue for special events.
Said it very heavy.
Yes.
People also mistakenly look out for the Union Jack to know if the Queen is in, but it's actually a different flag, the Royal Standard, that's flown at the royal residences, Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, or Sandringham House when she's present. Number 1, the Queen is all-powerful. The job description of monarch has changed since the days of Henry VIII, but the Queen still does have a number of powers, and it's not all about travelling the world and waving politely. But in today's British Constitution, she has ministers who are entrusted with exercising her powers. The Queen can summon Parliament, sign bills into laws, appoint or remove ministers, appoint the Prime Minister, and declare war, just to name a few.
Oh, really? Please.
Boo.
A lot of these motions are ceremonial, but it's good to know that if we were ever on the verge of war, the Queen has the power to pull that plug. Do you agree?
All right, guys, that was all news to me, except for the Big Ben and Elizabeth Tower. That was, like I said, that was all news to me. Alrighty. Hey, I actually want to know about that bridge, about London Bridge. If somebody would tell me the backstory on the London Bridge is falling down song, I would appreciate it. But anyway, guys, like I said in the community post, we are almost at 5,000 subscribers. Personally, I'm ecstatic, because I struggled for so long just to get 1,000 subscribers. And once I got 1,000 subscribers, and I believe I got 1,000 subscribers back in August, I want to say. Since then, we are literally almost at 5,000 subscribers, and I owe it all to you guys. Thank you so much. Please continue watching the content as much as you can, and liking it, sharing it, blah, 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 because it all helps the channel. All right, until next time, guys.